This was the biggest winning margin in this event since Emil Zatopek in 1954. He's some athlete, isn't he?
He is. He's fairly unpredictable as well. He's quite prepared to go to the front. He'll run hard during a race, or he'll sit and kick. And he had that race beaten right from the start. In fact, his first 2 laps were almost suicidal, and it looked as if there was a possibility that he might crumble. But it didn't happen. I mean, he was away. Richard Nuraika ran a great race in 5th position. I was going to ask you
about him. He looks a very promising athlete.
He is. He's won our national cross-country championships. He won the 10,000 trial. It's his first major championship. And he did very well. It's been a long time since we won a medal in the 10,000. It was Tony Simmons in 1974. And Richard all but won a medal. He ran a great race, really tough. And I'm sure that he'll go from strength to strength, and that'll give him a lot of confidence.
Splendid. Thank you, David. Well, tomorrow there's lots of action. Fiona May, incidentally, qualified for the women's long jump. She'll be competing in that in the final. Steve Backley, of course, is hot favourite to win the men's javelin. And Linford Christie and the boys, they all go in the 100 metres, the women's 100 metres as well. So medals to be won tomorrow, and hopefully 1 or 2 for Britain as well. Sport action starts tomorrow afternoon at 1:35 with cricket and athletics. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
If you want to catch up with today's play in the 3rd test, the opportunity will present itself in half an hour on BBC Two.
Are you trying to intimidate me?
Careful, dear, I'm the only friend you've got. And I don't like you much.
You know perfectly well why you're here.
Do I?
You have no right to look at those files.
Rights.
Under the Emergency Procedures of the Dangerous Diseases Act, Juliet, we can impound any medical records we have a warrant for.
Did you have personal contact? What are you asking?
Set in the future, Yellowbacks, the play on One, this Thursday at 9:30.
Now, to complete our entertainment this Bank Holiday Monday on BBC One, an excursion to Edinburgh for the music and spectacle of the 1990 military tattoo.
The mass pipes and drum.
A warm welcome once again to the esplanade of Edinburgh Castle, with the traditional but always thrilling sight of the massed pipes and drums as they enter to the tune Jean Allen, composed in honour of his wife by Major John Allen, who retired this summer as Director of Army Bagpipe Music. 150 pipers and drummers from 6 bands. The Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, the 4th Royal Tank Regiment, the Guards Depot Piping School, the pipes and drums of the 1st Battalion, the Royal Scots, the Royal Regiment, the 1st Battalion, the King's Own Scottish Borderers, and easily spotted among the feather bonnets and the kilts, the white tunics of the 10th Princess Mary's Own Gurkha Rifles in this, their centenary year. The senior pipe major is Pipe Major Riddle, Scots Guards. The senior drum major is Drum Major Locke of the King's Own Scottish Borderers. And the march is the Mackenzie Highlanders. Queen's Own Highlanders' farewell to Brunei has taken the massed pipes and drums into a diamond formation, where they will play a selection of 5 tunes: the slow air, Mari Van Og, the Strathspey, Lady Mackenzie of Fairburn, the Mackenzie's Reel, another lovely slow air, Fear Abata, the boatman, and finally the March of the Cameron Men. But first, Mari Van Og, Fair Young Mary. pipes and drums, to a competition between two companies of the 15th Scottish Volunteer Battalion, the Parachute Regiment, in that regiment's Golden Jubilee year. C Company from Edinburgh is to the right of the drawbridge, B Company from Aberdeen is to the left, and the objective is to capture radar equipment on the cliff tops overlooking the battalion's landing area. The cliffs are represented by the old castle walls, and these young volunteers have trained hard, as you will now see, to earn the right to wear the red beret.
And now up to the wall, representing the cliff they have to climb to get the radar from the top. And they'll fire the grappling hook onto the cliff top now, and they've got, one man has got to scale the actual cliff. Now, who's going to be the first on the wall? B Company taking the lead, B Company from Aberdeen going up on the south side. C Company having a bit of a problem, but he's away now. And then they have to get the radar from the building in the top and send it back down the wire. And which radar is going to come down first? Here we are, B Company. Come on, give C Company a cheer, give him a bit of encouragement on the north. Having a bit of trouble with his radar, but he's coming down now, any minute now. Here it comes. And now the two men have to follow down on the road. Here we come, B Company with a clear lead. Then back through the sewer pipe and into the building. Here comes B Company. And C Company had a good start down there. Let's see if they can keep it going. The radar's up into the building. The soldiers coming through. Who's going to reach the chasm first? Here comes B Company's radar over the chasm onto the vehicle. C Company following up very quickly behind. Who's going to do it? It's very close. It's going to depend on the vehicle. Here we go. B Company have done it. Well done, B Company.
Well done indeed, the lads from Aberdeen. Two drummers and 10 dancers from 1st Battalion, 2nd King Edward VII's own Gurkha Rifles, the Sirnur Rifles, accompanied by the band of the Brigade of Gurkhas in a traditional dance from West Nepal. Brunevali is the tune. On festive occasions, yes, they have their festivals in the highlands of Nepal too. People from neighbouring villages get together. While the girls sing, the fellows do an impromptu dance to beguile the young ladies from round about and to compete for their attention. Young, handsome male with own white kilt and kukri experience seeks attractive female for friendship. You know the sort of thing. Who could resist such delightful and agile blandishments? The cheers from the stands give the answer. Always welcome in Edinburgh, the Brigade of Gurkhas, exit now to Yonapali at the Rifle Regiment's rate of 140 paces to the minute. Police and their dogs from RAF Newton in Nottingham. There were over 500 of these dogs in service throughout the world, and the display is introduced by the team manager, Sergeant Andy Wardley.
We open our display this evening with a sacking line. This is used to demonstrate the speed and agility of the dogs, and sometimes the lack of it within the handlers. And just watch out, there may be one or two surprises. And now for some action, we have Prince released from the top end into the tunnel, closely released from the bottom end, Guy into the tunnel for the first tunnel cross. Guy now continues and he crosses with Shane for our second tunnel cross. And now just watch this, release from each end. We have Jay and Max, both released together over the first jump into the tunnel, heading for the centre jump. This could be rather close, and over under cross. Thank you, Jay and Max. It's now the turn of Max to demonstrate the accuracy and confidence with which our dogs jump. Max will be asked to jump through a hoop measuring 18 inches in diameter and return through two hoops held 2 feet apart. Up and through one way, and now for his uphill return. Thank you, Max. And now for an item that requires complete trust and understanding between both dog and handler. Max will be asked to jump through a hoop measuring only 10 inches in diameter, and that's about the same size as an ordinary car steering wheel. Head of Max. And through he goes. Thank you, Max, with Andy Price. The large cone-like object you see coming into the arena is what we call the wee-frame, and this is used to demonstrate the suppleness of the German Shepherd dog's body. Head of Jay. Off to a slow start uphill, building up speed for his downhill return. And just watch this for a reward. Thank you, Max, with Martin Hallett. It's now competition time. The 3 dogs and handlers you see marching into the arena are marching out to what we call the scramble. This evening there are 3 dogs competing to see which one can jump the highest. Now remember, the louder you cheer, the higher these dogs will go. We'll start the competition at a height of 7 feet. Before we start, I'll introduce the teams to you. First of all, jumping for the east stand, we have Max. Jumping for the north stand, we have Leo. And finally, jumping for the south stand, we have Old Max. Okay, get yourselves ready. Let's have a nice loud cheer from the east stand. Come on, east stand, this is your dog, Max. Come on, give him a nice big cheer in. Keep cheering. And he just about makes it. Okay, north stand, a nice big cheer from yourselves. Come on then, a nice loud cheer for Red of Leo. Keep cheering. And he struggles as well. And now south stand, let's see if we can do any better. A nice loud cheer for Max. Come on then. And over he goes. Our steward now increases the height to 8 feet. I must point out at this stage of the competition, the handlers are not allowed to assist their dogs in any way. Any form of cheating and the team will be disqualified. Okay, east stand, let's have another nice cheer, better than last time. Come on, Fred, Max, come on then. Keep cheering. Yes, I think both north and south stand agree that was a definite push. You're disqualified. Okay. Okay, North Stand, let's have an even louder cheer this time for Leo. Come on, North Stand. Keep cheering in. Very close, very close. Okay, South Stand, let's see if we can do even better this time. A nice cheer. Come on, then. Keep cheering. And over he goes. A very close competition this evening between the North and South Stand. And now for the final time, our steward increases the height to 9 feet. So you've seen what you've got to do. The louder you cheer, the higher they'll go. Okay, now stand, get yourselves ready. We have a problem. Okay, check it out. Safety is very important. Well, need I say anymore? Yes, you're disqualified as well. Okay, let's have the north, the east and the south stand. Everybody cheering. A nice loud cheer for Matt. Down the girls. As you know, it is generally accepted that all animals have a natural fear of fire. But we on the dog demonstration team have trained our dogs to negotiate the fire line, showing no signs of nervousness, fear or apprehension from the smoke, heat or flames. We're now ready. The first dog down the line is Max with couple Phil Rob. Max is 2.5 years old. As you can see, a nice, steady, slow dog, just like his handler. Thank you, Max. And now it's the turn of Ben. Ben is 8 years old and he has been with the team for 5 years. Thank you, Ben. And now for some speed and action. Next we see Leo with couple Alfie Bass, a much faster dog. All the way down the line, only one more jump to go. Thank you, Leo. And now for another young dog, Edog Ulrich with couple Martin Cadogan. And he gets off to a good start, and just look at him, and he's running uphill this time, well ahead of the handler. And now for the fastest dog, Edog Max. And just look at that dog go. Thank you, Max, with couple Price. And now for complete silence, please. We have one dog left, Edog Tanya. Tanya will be asked to negotiate the fire line alone and retrieve the lighted dumbbell you see being placed by our steward. The scene is set. Edog Tanya. A nice clean pickup, and now for her return. Well, I think that speaks for itself, the courage of the German Shepherd dog. Corporal Sims and Tanya now rejoin the team. I do hope you've enjoyed the display as much as the dogs and handlers have enjoyed performing for you.
Thank you, Andy. Well done, dogs and handlers both. Marine Corps Combat Development Command in Quantico, Virginia. The training center and crossroads of the Corps, as it is known, comes the Quantico Marine Band of the United States Marine Corps. Established 72 years ago, the band brings to Edinburgh Castle, from the shores of the Potomac River, a medley of tunes by John Philip Sousa. as they say, or something completely different. A month-long battle in February and March 1945, American Marines captured the island of Iwo Jima in the Pacific at a cost of over 6,000 Marine Corps lives. The symbol of their courage became the 4 young Marines and 1 Navy corpsman who raised the stars and stripes on the peak of Mount Suribashi while the battle raged around them.
The tableau in front of the band represents the Iwo Jima Memorial to the United States Marine Corps located in Washington, D.C.
A well-known sight and sound at Scotland's National Rugby Ground at Murrayfield on international days are the pipes and drums of the Queen Victoria School. So it's fitting, perhaps, that in Scotland's Grand Slam year, the boys from Dunblane should be taking part in the tattoo for the first time in 36 years. The lads have all given up their summer holidays to be here. The school for the sons of Scottish sailors, soldiers and airmen was built by public subscription from all over Scotland, a memorial to Queen Victoria and to those who were killed in the South African War. It was opened in 1908 by the Queen's great-grandfather, King Edward VII. 270 boys between 10 and 18 are boarders at the school, and every one of the 80 pupils in the primary department are taught piping or drumming or dancing. What you will see now, as the dancers form a Scottish saltire, is a display of Highland dancing, Victorian broadswords in the centre, flings and reels on the diagonal arms of the cross, and all to 2 stretch bays, Stumpy and Aspen Bank, and 2 reels, Ale is Dear and Piper of Drummond. breath away all that concentration. Warm applause for the boys of the Queen Victoria School. You tend to forget away up here that Edinburgh's 44th International Festival is going on down below the Castle Rock. From Edinburgh's sister festival city of the Southern Hemisphere, from Adelaide on the banks of the River Torrens between the Mount Lofty Ranges and the sea, comes the oldest police band in Australia on its first overseas tour, the band of the South Australia Police. If you think these policemen from South Australia are very smart, they are. And have a new line and drill? They have. But just take a look at their sensational friends.
These winsome girls are the Australian drill team from Adelaide, the champions of the world.
Australian drill team have been world champions 8 consecutive times. They've often attained a perfect score in international competitions, and they've certainly scored heavily, I can tell you, with spectators and television cameramen and fellow performers alike here in Edinburgh. In Australiana, you can hear click go the shears, neighbours, I think you might recognise that, pub with no beer, and on the road to Gundagai. Kangaroo down sport. And that's just what they didn't do, because he, she, or it is here at Edinburgh Castle. The luckiest kangaroo in the world, a roo called Adelaide, a homely beast with a tender heart. What a way to produce your national flag. From Adelaide, Festival City of Australia, a wonderful offering of music, energy, superb timing, and sheer good fun. It's the smiles I like, said a friend of mine. I almost believed him. wonder if you happen to recognize the Director of Music. An old friend of this tattoo, Eric Banks, the last year Principal Director of Music of the Royal Air Force. A wealth of fine music in the 1990 Edinburgh Military Tattoo. One of the finest bands in the British Army. The band of the Corps of Royal Engineers, led by Drum Major Roy Drinkwater. The band of the Royal Engineers is joined by the band of the South Australia Police, the band of the Brigade of Gurkhas, the Falklands band of the Parachute Regiment, the Quantico Marine band of the United States Marine Corps, the regimental bands of the King's Own Scottish Borderers and the Gordon Highlanders. Over 140 musicians in St. Louis Blues. From the deep south of the US of A, now blues from the deep south of the UK, as we remember that night in London's Berkeley Square when a nightingale sang. bands play 5 wartime songs which bring back memories of half a century ago. Director of Music, Lieutenant Colonel Phil Evans, Royal Engineers. Alex Lawler helping to lead the sing-along. Join in, wherever you're watching. The neighbours won't mind.
Read all of you, silent and good. When we hear you boys, all right. Oh, don't forget to wake me in the morning and bring it on a nice hot couple. Kiss me goodnight, Sergeant Major. Sergeant Major, be a mother to me.
The 7 military bands are now joined by the pipes and drums of 7 more bands. More than 100 pipers and or nearly 300 musicians altogether. Highland Cradle Song. The soloist was Vice Major Robert Burns of the Royal Scots. One of the great hits of this outstanding 1992 has been the performance of these lovely girls from Adelaide, now joining the finale of 500 performers to the music of Caravan. The RAF police dogs and their skilled handlers, the dancers of the Queen Victoria School, Dunblane. The arena party, the dancers of the Brigade of Gurkhas. And suddenly, the parade is almost complete. From the rear of the parade, in the Jubilee year of the Airborne Forces, the regimental colour party, the regimental mascot, Little Shetland Pony, Sergeant Pegasus III, and the guard of 15th Scottish Volunteer Battalion, the Parachute Regiment, marched down to take their place of honour. Evening hymn, the last post, the lowering of the colours. A haunting tune written in memory of Lieutenant Colonel David Blair, the CO of the 1st Battalion, Queen's Own Highlanders, killed at Warren Point on the 27th of August, 1979, comes from the battlements high above the city, played by a lone piper, Corporal Graham Marr, Queen's Own Highlanders. At the end of the day, it says, "Lights out."
Scotland, the bay!
And Scotland the Brave and its capital city have been honoured to play host in these weeks to the world champion Australian drill team. Wish you a safe return to the land of Oz. To the proud Paras, a happy 50th birthday of your young and illustrious regiment. The dancers from Nepal and from Dunblane, good night. To the all-important arena party, thanks.
Old lang syne, hands across.
And to the massed military bands with friends from Australia, the Far East and the United States among them. Old acquaintance will bring you often to our minds for Auld Lang Syne. The Black Bear cheers the massed pipes and drums back to their barracks at the end of the day, as it has generations of our Scottish soldiers. So, one more year of sweet music and old tunes, young dancers, and breathtaking spectacle. A vintage year, many of the regulars will say as they walk down the Royal Mile arm in arm and make for home. I've heard them say it this week, night after night. And for those who sat in the stands and looked with their own eyes at the old grey castle walls for the first time in their lives, an unforgettable experience. I've heard them say that too. For you at home, wherever in the world you've been watching with us, we hope it's been something special too. And we look forward to welcoming you to Edinburgh and to Scotland when another year has marched away.
BBC Two will be in Edinburgh tomorrow night at 11:15 for a report on the television festival and a chat with Clint Eastwood.
Starting tomorrow on 2, The Barchester Chronicles, starring Donald Pleasance as the righteous Mr. Harding.
I believe him to be corrupted.
You said he was a good man.
He is one of the most loved and respected men in Barchester.
I love and respect Mr. Harding. My complaint is not against him, but against the institution that sustains him.
The man is an upstart, a reformer. He might even be a radical for all I know. He's quite clearly a scoundrel.
I like John Bold very much.
Like him?